Alrighty, folks. So, keeping this an absolute buck, we're going to go right into this video and talk about apparently the Monster Hunter community being split or something of the like. Also, I just want to throw this out there. Reframework is absolutely fantastic and crushes it. I was having tons of issues with the PC release, and I currently run a 3060 and a i7 for a CPU. And it was lagging immensely, but Reframework, shout out to them. I don't think one should have to mod their game for it to work, but let's face it, if you have a PC, that's the plus of having a PC. If you have issues, you can usually tweak and mod or do something to make things work better. But let's get straight into this video. I'm going to try not to keep this too long, but I've got some gameplay footage back there for you ADD folks. Need something going on while we're talking. Normally I put myself on the screen, but I just wanted to show off the greatness of how smooth the game is running while using the Reframework mod to help it run more smooth. I'm happy it's buttery smooth. That's something I appreciate about the new game. So first, for starters, I am a veteran of the Monster Hunter series, and I mean I came from the very first American released Monster Hunter game way back for PlayStation 2, the OG fanfare. You're talking, you are fighting with your joystick, and egg delivery quests are mandatory. Challenging game, very rewarding and amazing. And yeah, simply put, I come from that, and I will always think those days were peak Monster Hunter days. I will always say those days were peak Monster Hunter days. The franchise back then was extremely niche. Now, what sparked this video to even be created in the first place is casually scrolling my YouTube timeline, whatever you want to call it, videos that popped up on YouTube. I came across some person named Ratatosker or something of the like, and I have never seen a video from them before. I don't really watch Monster Hunter content creators. I don't feel the need to. Again, I've been a part of the franchise since the very first game. American released. I don't know if that was the very first game in existence, but very first American released Monster Hunter game for PlayStation 2. And with that being said, I just don't really care to look into what people have to say about the game. I know what I enjoy about it. I know what makes it great. I've been with the franchise for over a decade. So with that being said, never really looked this up. So this randomly popped up on my feed, and it may be because I had to look up the Reframework mod or whatever. So I guess that popped up for like Monster Hunter stuff. So the first video of his that popped up for me was the long video he made saying what, like, he doesn't like Monster Hunter Wilds and the things he doesn't like about Monster Hunter Wilds and all that sort of stuff. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. I want to stress that. But at the same time, being entitled to your opinion also means you are entitled to get reactions from your opinion, especially if you decide to upload that publicly. So if you decide to put your opinion out there for the world to see, then yes, you are entitled to get reactions from your opinion as well. So I want to stress that. This is not shade being thrown, but if people take it that way, I really don't care. We're grown men around here. It is what it is. So throwing that out there, another person's video that popped up was a person called MH Meatman, I believe. What a name. MH Meatman. And his video, in a sense, I don't know if you want to call it challenging the Ratatosk video or whatever. And he made a long video. That was like a 4-hour video. Props to the man for doing all that research and putting in all that work. Yeah. So these are the two videos that kind of sparked even me to have a video response to this. Normally, I just don't care. Or if anything, you'll see me make comments about stuff like this on my live streams. I'm mainly a live streamer, a full-time live streamer for that matter. Link in the description down below, as well as it'll pop up on the screen. Look at that, beautiful. Look at that. Look at that. So normally I'll casually say stuff like that, but it won't be a long rant's worth. You know, I don't really care to go deep into that. But Monster Hunter is a series that's close to me. I've loved it. I've always championed it since the first game. I've thought it was great. And I think it just goes to say, I've seen apparently the thing that people are talking about, I guess, just off of my little bit of watching these videos. I think in total, combining both videos, I watched maybe at the most an hour's worth between both people's video, right? 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there, 20 minutes, you know, just while I was eating or trying to sleep, something like that. It, you know, so I didn't watch the full videos. And it, again, no shade to these people, just saying straight up, from what I've seen, it seems what people be talking about is that the games are easier or whatever. And that definitely seems to be an issue. The Ratatosker guy, if I say the name wrong, it's no shade. I just pronounce it wrong. But that seems to be an issue that the Ratatosker guy had against Wilds and Rise, for the fact of that matter, too. I played both of those games. Played Rise as well. I played every single Monster Hunter game except for the story game. What was it? The quest, whatever one is like the turn-based one, stories or quest or whatever the hell it was. And with that being said, yes, the games have become easier, but you always have the option to make it more challenging. That's one thing I don't get with that whole argument, because the MH Meatman guy went into explicit detail, and again, props to homie for having his receipts. Because homie went in and had the receipts, the test videos, the numbers, all of that stuff to show you that World was just as easy. And the thing that blows my mind about both these creators, again, I will keep saying no shade, because apparently you have to do it on YouTube to show you're not trying to make beef. You know what I'm saying? Apparently you got to do it on YouTube. You know, we ain't trying to turn nobody into a well-done steak round here. We're just saying the real shit that was discussed. And apparently, you know, he had all the numbers and all that sort of stuff to show the difference. Like, oh, sorry, lost my train of thought. Both these people came from World. Now, no shade to that, but I find that massively just shocking to me. How is it these newer fans are beefing with even newer fans? That is insane to me. Like, you're not even from the original series, and you're talking, like, I don't get that. To me, it's the equivalent when I watch, like, people who started on, I'm a OG From Software game player as well, started on the original Demon's Souls, and it blows my mind when I watch people come from like Dark Souls 3, or they come from Elden Ring, and then they're trying to like talk shade to like Dark Souls players. Like, brother, you're from the newer generation. Like, what are you doing? Have respect for where the game originated and came from, and that's something you always have to have. I just don't get that. I don't get the idea of being a World player and now you're trying to throw shade at Rise players. Like, what are you doing? Like, I think it's obvious that the game has changed. The game has changed. World was a necessary thing that needed to happen. I didn't necessarily enjoy every change that happened being a OG player. I didn't enjoy everything that happened with World, but I understand the necessity of it. At the end of the day, World brought the game to a wider audience. World brought Monster Hunter to a wider audience. World is, I believe, World is the one that really brought it home and brought a big old batch of new players to the franchise. Whereas I will always say the best Monster Hunter game out there, not counting Frontier because it wasn't American release, I would say one of the best ones, hands down, was Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. That game was phenomenal. The amount of monsters in that game, the variety in that game, the music, the Poke Village music is just hands down one of the best musics in the, I don't care what anyone says, best music in the franchise. It blows my mind that you have new fans going against newer fans. I do not understand that. Like, that doesn't make any sort of sense. Anyone with a brain would understand, or well, maybe we have to dumb it down for some people. Maybe people are just becoming more smooth-brained as the world goes on. We have to dumb it down for people. Straight up, Monster Hunter World was necessary. When that game first dropped, I've seen a lot of OG fans not like it and complain about it. One of my closest friends, she really didn't like World at first because, again, it was just a lot of changes. But I broke it down to her to say it was a necessary thing to happen, because look at the franchise now. Look at how popular and how well received it's become. It's one of the most well received games out there at this time. You know, look at how well Wilds did in sales and stuff like that, and popularity and all that sort of stuff. That is a good thing for any game franchise. It's something you want to happen. It's something that is needed. If your game franchise is niche, but it doesn't get bought up but by a small fan base, it will eventually die, and that's what you don't want to happen. A good example of that is a game like Lord of Arcana, one of my all-time favorites, and it takes the Monster Hunter formula and makes it more mature. It was fantastic, but again, a very niche game. So with a game like that, you don't see continuation. You don't see a fucking 4K, you know, over 60 frame game that's beautifully made like Wilds. You don't get that when a franchise dies. So you need a franchise to stay alive, and in order to do that, yes, you're going to have to start doing things that appease the masses. It is what it is. You're going to have to start doing things that appease the masses. Look at what Elden Ring did. Elden Ring did make that game easier. Elden Ring is the easiest Souls game in the franchise, and it did that. Yeah, of course, the super hardcore Souls fans aren't going to like that. Oh, why'd you have to make it easier? Oh, this is baby Souls or whatever. But it is the best Souls received game out there. Yeah, out of all of the Souls games, it is the one that sold the best. And now we have a Night Rain coming out and all that sort of stuff. We've had tons of Souls-based games take off after that. Like, it's a necessary thing that happens in franchises like this. They have to do things to appease the normies. And I don't think that's a bad thing. Inherently, I would always stand on the square of it is necessary in order for the franchise to do the best. At the end of the day, we want Capcom to do the best it can so they can give us more of the games we love. If Capcom loses money, they don't produce what we want. It is what it is. And at the end of the day, if you think Wilds, Rise, World, whatever the hell sucks, do not play it. I don't understand why you have to get upset and bash these companies. If they release a product you don't like, you can save $70 to $80. Game prices are going through the roof nowadays. You can save $90, $100. You don't have to buy the damn game. I don't get to just buy something and complain about it. You can just not. Hell, you can even return it. If you bought, let's say you bought it and you didn't know it sucked, you bought it, it sucked, you can return it and be like, hey, I don't want anything to do with this, But to just sit there and cry about something, it's a self-inflicted wound. That just makes no sense to me. Games in general have been becoming more easier. I don't think that's proper grammar. Games in general have been becoming easier. There you go. And it's not just Monster Hunter. Again, Elden Ring. I'm trying to think of other franchises, but throw them down in the comments below. There have been tons of games that have been becoming easier over time. Gaming in general is not niche anymore. I come from gaming starting on the Super Nintendo. Hell, technically speaking, first console being the NES and Sega. So I'm an older dude, man. I've been gaming when you used to get made fun of and you are a square, you're a nerd, you're a geek, you're weird when you stay inside and you play your Super Nintendo all day, or you just get your GameCube and you're playing Custom Robo for the first time. You stay on that. Pokemon Stadium is better than hanging out with friends. I was there, I was there back in the good old days when gaming made you weird. You know what I mean? And now it's not niche anymore. And because gaming is no longer niche, that means companies are going to have to start appeasing a wider audience. Companies are going to have to start doing things for more people. Before, gaming was a smaller niche. Now it is huge. Hell, nowadays, you would be a weirdo if you said you didn't touch video games nowadays. If you said you never played video games are fucking weird and you're a weirdo for playing them, you would be ostracized nowadays for that. And I remember a time when it was flipped. So things are changing, and change isn't always bad, but it's not always comfortable. That's an important and huge life lesson, I would personally say. But we're not going to make this video any longer than it has to be. Hope you enjoyed that gameplay in the background. Simply put, at the end of the day, the changes Monster Hunter has made were necessary to appease a wider audience. They're not going to care about you crying, like you fans that are crying about it being too easy, because look at the sales, look at the advancements. The only thing I would forever say, and this goes for all new games, is just optimize your game. Spend a little more time optimizing your game. You shouldn't have to have folks modding the game to make it work. But the fact that people do that goes to show how much they love the game, I would say. How much they're willing to play it. They develop this whole damn mod just for the sake of goddamn being able to play the game. Think of that. That's huge. That is huge. Monster Hunter is a fantastic franchise. And at the end of the day, the core of the game is still there. Monster Hunter. You're still doing what you want to be doing when you pick up that game. The game's called Monster Hunter. You hunt goddamn monsters. That's the whole point of the game. If it's easier, you could do your quest all naked. Hell, there's a streamer I know that still to this day does Elden Ring runs, and he does them no armor, fucking no hit, all that. You can do that if you really want to play it on a Guitar Hero controller, if you really want to make the game challenging. If that's your gripe, the game's too easy, play it with one hand, play it with a mouse and no keyboard. If you really want to make the game just challenging and it's too easy. Or the fun thing, you can always go back and play Freedom Unite, the OG Monster Hunter, which were very challenging games, had a bunch of tedious quests in them. I always loved them for what they were, but I get that a huge audience is not gonna like that. When they remove Egg Quest, mandatory Egg Quest from the game, I know so many people were happy about that. I personally liked it, but so many people were happy about that because they're like, bruh, I'm not trying to have to be doing this. You get hit once by one Gidden Prey or one Velocipray, and now you got to redo the whole damn quest. People don't like that, man. It's what it is. People trying to get in there and fight that damn monster. So with that being said, we gonna sign off with that. Thank you for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that good jazz. I'm Heiko Sake, an OG hunter, a vet baby, and we be streaming on Twitch every day. So come on by and check out a live stream, will you? Till next time, folks. Take it easy, and thank you for tuning in to my Hunter Talk.